Everyone is back to their seats. Welcome back to the post-lunch session. So, after the insightful three sessions in the morning, we are back for the post-lunch session. So, we are beginning with the panel discussion from Ahmedabad chapter. The topic is the transformed role of a delivery manager with Agile. Before we start the session, let me thanks our founding sponsor, Innovation Roots. Innovation Roots is a leading consulting and training service provider helping helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers in niche publishing services and well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. For more details about Innovation Roots, please visit our website www.innovationroots.com. Do's and don'ts: join the event 5 minutes before the start time, use quality speakers and headphones for better sound quality. Please keep your microphones muted and video disabled as this may cause disturbance and bandwidth issue. Questions will be taken via chat box. Please enter your questions in the chat box. At the end of the session, the facilitator moderator will help and read out a few questions to the speaker as per the time available. Please fill your feedback forms after the event to help us understand more about the event management. We appreciate your cooperation. So I would like to welcome Bharat, who is going to moderate this particular panel discussion on behalf of the Ahmedabad chapter. Over to you, Bharat. I would like you to please come on the screen and introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Prashant. And thanks to ANI for organizing such an insightful panel discussion today. And thanks all for joining on this weekend noon, right? Great. So myself, Bharat Bhambhaney, I come up with near to 20 years of experience, exclusive in the software industry, being consistent to the industry, have been gone through with several phases within my career, starting from a pure developer to manage the small team, leading the team, and then moving toward the project management areas and then further delivery managements, and also to manage and running their own organizations level of experience I do carry with me. And after the particular amount of time in experience in the industry, we think like there are a lot of things we learn with the industry and which gets through with the journey. And like definitely I can say I feel proud to be a part of this industry since it started in India near to 20-22 years back. And I'm going to be your moderator for the today's panel discussion. And I do carry product owner certifications and scrum fundamental certifications with me. Thanks, guys, and I will be continuing with the panel members after once we have the introduction section over. Yeah, Pragya, you can carry on with your interaction.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pragnya Misra. I'm currently a partner with Enterprise Agility. This is a practice within consulting and services integration team at TCS. I've been doing consulting for about 23 years now. I'm a strategic, result-oriented change leader, having led a lot of strategic and operational transformations for organizations globally. I consider myself a design thinker, a change agent. I'm a mentor and coach for several senior executives, including CXO level, and I have an expertise in various methodologies, starting for the good old transformation of CMI, Six Sigma, ITIL, moving on to Lean, DevOps, Agile, Safe, and I also have an experience in a lot of scaled Agile frameworks. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Pragya. Yeah, over to you, Anita.
Hello everyone. I am an IT management professional with about 25 plus years of experience. I'm a PMP certified Scrum Master, Six Sigma Black Belt. I have extensive exposure to ISO 9001, 27001 certification process implementation, designing the processes for the organization. I also have exposure to CMMI processes. I have strong exposure to continuous improvement and business process improvement across the organization, not just limited to software engineering processes. I have a good experience setting up self-motivated, organized performing teams, and I've had very nice, wonderful experience seeing the team transformation in this journey. Mentoring PMO and ACPG, that's another area where I have worked extensively. I have a lot of success stories wherein projects which were ailing, troubled, we were able to work together with various stakeholders involved in it and bail those projects out into success stories. So that's about me. Thank you, Bharat.
Yeah, thanks, Anita. Thanks. It was a wonderful introduction. Thanks. Hey, Amit.
Good afternoon, all, and um, uh, thank you for inviting me in this discussion. I would like to myself, as an agile coach, I'm as a business coach as well. I have around 1.5 decades of experience in IT software industry, and I work with the big organization like CGI, which is around 1 lakh people company, and started my career with the small startup with a 10 people company. So I understand, and in between all the organizations, like 500 people organization, 3,000 people organization, 50,000 people organization, then 85,000 people organization, right? And I played in currently I am a CEO of the Trident Consultancy and co-founder of How to Sell It. Um, I still offer the business coaching services to the many CEOs, right? Who is starting up or bootstrap their thing, and we are helping them significantly. I have coached the CXO level people to the team and achieve the performance. I am a life coach as well, along with the agile thing. And I have around 4 or 5 certificates, what is there, PMP, CSM, SAFe, Six Sigma, and all this. Yeah, this is something about myself. Yeah, looking forward to meaningful discussion with you guys.
Sure. Thanks, Amit. Thanks very much for this. Great, guys, and I think then we are good to start.
Yes,
Fair. So, yeah, so just to give in some more insights about today's topic, right? So, as we have now been introduced with all the panel members, and we understand the kind of experience they carry and the kind of time they have spent within the industry, right? So, in any industry, we can think about the transformation in terms of the way industry works, right? Especially when we look at the IT started back near to 20 22 years back in India, and since then it has got lot of ups and downs within the industry. People have seen lot of changes, right? So we have been seeing transformation across the areas of the IT, like being it a technology, being it a part of the way we used to do a development. So development strategies has been changed a lot, and being it a client's mindset as well, the way client used to think earlier, now the way they have changed their mindset in terms of the expectation of the product or the projects they've been getting out of the companies, and also the way we have been managing deliveries, and also the way we have been managing clients, and of course the resource, the way we have been managing resource. Like everywhere we have seen the huge transformation, change of the mindset, and of course like it's being giving us a smooth journey so far, right? So and the way we've been adopting, it's being keeps getting smooth and smooth day by day, of course. So like thanks to all the professional within the industry, and they have been their contribution towards the industry. Great, right? So today's topics talks about that only, like how that particular transformation, like it's required within ourselves as well, when we especially talk about the deliveries. So being a delivery management, and when they transform themselves within the agile methodologies, right? So we started from waterfall, a very raw waterfall, to mature waterfall. Now we are talking about agile, right? So like there are a lot of things happen in between, and that brings up the mindset changes. So yeah, so definitely I would start with Amit, right? So Amit, definitely, as you shared, right? So you've been managing a team, and like you've been working with a small team, right? So definitely there are a lot of challenges you might have faced, like when it comes to delivery, right? So if you can tell us more about what were the core challenges you see as a DM, which makes you to move to agile.
yeah. See, I think the challenges is with the scale. Challenges are definitely related to the team size. I have managed the team size of around 200, 300 people, along with 20, 30 team altogether. And then there is a 12, 15 people team as well. And then there is a complexity of the project. Some are the very big billion dollar projects, and some are like, I think, 100K projects. But I think the main challenges is that is how we deal with the unknown, right? How we do the commitment. So that is, I think, the most important aspects of things. When I say the unknown, then there is a lot of unknowns, right? And being a DM, everybody wants the upfront commitment. What is the end date? Correct. When you are going to deliver this much milestones, how are things, right? And the vice versa also with the team, right? What team, where is the requirement, right? Where is the architecture? Where are the infrastructures? Where are the dependencies? So there is all these things are there, right? And everybody has a lot of expectation, and the reality is completely like so many things are still progressing. Even client is learning. It's not about the team is learning, but the client is learning. And then there is it on top of it, there are a lot of technologies, right? Say for example, if we are working with the COBOL or something, .NET, right? We used to do I think 7 years of experience guys in there. But if I'm taking with the Flutter or the React Native or something like that, Angular, right? Which is a trending technology, blockchain, right? Even the means the most experienced guy in the team is started their career before 2 years in that particular technology, right? So everybody is like, there are a lot of unknowns, right? And when there is an unknown, there is a risk of, I would say, the risk of trust, right? So if it's a challenge itself is a genuine challenge. I would not say it's a hypothetical challenge or that such thing. The challenge itself is a real challenge, and that's the complexity of the project or the product, right? And then if there is that thing, and then there is the new people coming together. Now we speak about a non-technical thing, right? So one people is working in Kolkata, another is in Belgium, and third is in London, right? So all they never meet each other, right? So they don't know each other. How they will be trusting each other. Their culture are different. Their habits are different. The way of talking are different. How they are comfortable. All these things are there, right? And on top of it, the client is also nowadays the most important challenge is that the client is young, right? They are the very well techie guys who has just passed out from IIM or something. They have come up with a very good idea, and they have a lot of investment with them, right? So they understand the thing, right? They have a dream, but they have, I think, very less experience. When I say they are not 40 or 50-year guy, right, or sitting in the sit and execute a thousands project. It is their first, I think, even mostly their fifth project, right, in their career so far, right? And then there is a lot of steps, right? So all these are the real life challenge, and then I think this is the most important. The challenges part, right? So, and the
Yeah,
most important out of that is that how we will collaborate, right? Even though we are all committed, we all wanted to do same thing, right? We all wanted to achieve the result, right? So, and how we will work together. I think these are the something that as a DM, right, that will lead me to the agile, right? Or that will think me that how I can, approach. And I think the agility solve a lot of problem out of this.
of course, I agree, Amit. Yeah, so yeah, definitely you have given some good points, like especially talking about the variety of the technologies available now, the kind of team members and experience level we have been working with, and also the major part is globally distributed teams, right? So indeed, yeah, so those factors are very important to be considered when you actually want to implement agility within your work culture, not only just a project level execution. I do agree. Yeah,
Hmm.
thanks, Amit. Thanks for your views for sure. Great. Yeah. Thanks. So yeah, let's move back to the next topic, right? So that is we will go back to Pragya, right? So Pragya, like you come, of course, to a prestigious and very big organization, right? So definitely your thoughts about directly interaction with your clients will be definitely helpful for us, right? And we would like to get more idea about how do your clients get benefited when in terms of when it comes to sustainable deliveries through the agile process. So if you can just tell us more about that.
Thank you, Bharat. So I'll answer that question in two parts. Since this topic is around the role of delivery managers, um, in true agile, there are no managers. And the reason I say so, the management term comes from the Industrial Revolution, where you needed to manage people. So there's a culture of command and control. In today's context, we do have managers. It's a reality. As long as we all understand that management is about enabling and supporting and providing a platform, an environment, and a culture of freedom, of experimentation, of fail fast, then that's good. So, though delivery managers are extensively used as terms in the organizations, very often we see them being project or program managers and not delivery managers. That being said, we are all service providers to our customers. So, in my role as a consultant, I advise the client on how they need to do agility, but larger TCS, which I represent, we are about 600,000 of us, also does deliveries in Agile. So, delivery managers are a reality in our world as well. I think what has happened over a period of time is in order for it to be sustainable, more so in pandemic times, we have something that we call location independent agile, right? So irrespective of where people are, earlier we used to say distributed teams, now we say dispersed because everybody is sitting in their own homes across the globe. How do we
Co-located
provide
was the
value
one
to
of
the
the
customer?
principles.
Yes.
Co-location was
Uh,
there.
Correct. But now we say dispersed teams, Amit, because we are all sitting, even in one city, we are sitting in 100 different locations, right? But how do we manage deliveries and provide sustainable outcomes? So there's an element of contracting which needs to be different with our clients. There is an element they need to do differently in terms of budgeting. And then, of course, the largest bit is sustainable deliveries. How do we do that? We follow typical agile frameworks like Scrum or Kanban. The intent of agility is to get to faster outcomes. Can we deliver value quickly? Ideally, it is in a 2 week window. Sometimes that's not possible. It takes longer. Faster delivery, quicker feedback, more transparency, much higher collaboration. And when I say collaboration is within the team, it could be with the client, it could be with other vendors, it could be within our own team. And how do we make it? In our experience, and at least in the last decade and a half, I've been working with consulting with large customers across the globe. They have seen such improvement in all parameters, right? In terms of time to market, in terms of throughput, in terms of quality, in terms of improved business collaboration, because all customers are not B2C. They're not delivering value directly to the customer, but they're delivering to their business. And the sustainability of an agile way of working where you can pivot when you know there is a change, the ability to give feedback. So, business sees what you've done and has something to change. And in an old traditional waterfall way, it used to be an enormous thing to make a change because we did things in big bang stages. And the adaptability of the process to make changes on an ongoing basis are all things that customers benefit from in terms of sustainable deliveries, which are quicker, faster, and in better quality. I hope that
Yeah.
answered the question, Bharat.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Just to ask one more question here, right? So you talked
Sure.
about Scrum and Kanban being used for to maintain the agile
Hmm.
framework, right? So what I would like to understand is like, do you think that Kanban is now more taking over Scrum in terms of when we look forward for the client in term when it reaches the maintenance and support type of mode for the deliveries?
That's a very good question, Bharat. So, in one of the large programs we are supporting right now, a lot of delivery teams are also choosing Kanban. The kind of work they get, the quantum of work, the volume of work, and the size of work, they feel Kanban is most suitable. But then Kanban does not only mean completely flow based, they're also putting some time boxes around it so they can have synchronization and cadence with other teams who are doing Scrum. So, Scrum is predominantly most common. I would say more than two-thirds of the organizations use Scrum, but there is a large appetite for flow-based, which is Kanban, not only in operations and incident and the entire production support area, but also in delivery. As long as you can put some guardrails and boundary conditions of what it means, it just does not mean that I pick what I want and it continues to flow. I have to synchronize with other teams who are delivering using other frameworks. And how do I make that happen?
Sure, sure. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for the answer, Pragya. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, let's speak to Anita about her experience, right? Because Anita comes with a great process experiences, and she has got a great experiences setting up the processes within an organization as well. Yeah, so Anita, the question to you is like, what skills do you think DM needs to be developed? Like, if he wants to be more agile pro kind of a personality, right? So, what of the skills do you see as a DM, and also like what of kind of skills he needs to inject within an organization?
This is a very interesting question, Bharat. And I would start with what Pragya raised. She said, do we really need managers in the context of Agile? And then, if we do really need managers, or now so called Scrum Master and product owners, do we really need delivery managers at all? Right. So my answer to this is mixed. For a small organization, which is a small setup, maybe 15, 20 people, a startup kind of a setup, maybe you really don't need somebody playing that role. The scrum master and the product owner combined together, they can play this well enough for a small team of 15, 20 people. But yes, for a larger organization, the scheme of things are different, and there is a lot of integration that is required. And that's where the role of delivery manager comes into play, even in the case of an agile setup. Now, to be able to identify the skills required for the person in the agile setup, it is important to know what's the kind of role responsibilities that he is expected to play and what's the transformation there really. And to answer this, I'll bring in a few core role responsibility areas that are associated with the delivery manager in this transformed arena now. One of the things that he is expected to do and focus on, again, Pragya mentioned about this, is delivering value. Right, and also Amit mentioned about being able to predict and forecast what can we give to whom when, which is a big $1 million question with everything being so dynamic in this industry these days, right? And especially in product development where the competition is so high, there are too many variables to be able to predict what am I going to give 6 months down the line, and we do need those kind of roadmaps. So one of the skills that is definitely required is to be able to do some level of release planning, some kind of forecasting, to be able to give a high level picture of what to expect in 3 months or 6 months. Now, typically, the Scrum teams are very focused on small areas of work, and in case of large team where teams of teams are working, we need somebody to be able to coordinate and give a big product roadmap kind of a thing. Apart from that, he also brings in core skills of agile, as in what are the best practices, what are the emerging practices that are there in the industry, and what should be applied to the kind of product development we are doing. Right, so we have so many frameworks coming in. It's not so much, it was easier with just Scrum and a couple of frameworks earlier. Now with so many frameworks coming in and so many newer practices emerging, and there are of course plus and minus of each one of them. So one of the very important role comes into play is which framework works best for the organization or the product development he is involved in. And then sometimes it's not just about one, it's a blend of practices that he needs to choose, because now agile is no more like you do these 10 things and you are following Scrum 100%. I think very few organizations are doing that nowadays. So finding the best blend of practices is also very important. He has a very important role to work with the product owner in being able to define MVP, right? Because business wants everything. I mean, even if it is moon, sun, the entire planetary system, the galaxies, everything they wanted, and they want it tomorrow. Now, working together with the business, working together with product owner in helping the prioritization. I mean, people really don't understand MVP at all, right? So
Correct.
making them understand what is MVP, helping define the MVP is also a very important skill. So that brings in business skills, as a very different dimension coming into play. Causal analysis, right? I mean, we do a lot of retrospectives and talk about continuous improvement through teamwork. But what about improvement across teams? Right, so there's input coming from various teams, but what about the collaborative improvement? Again, causal analysis skills, facilitation skills, to be able to work together, identify learnings, and based on experiences, tweaking the practices that you want to put into play. Apart from that, yes, one very very important skill in today's time is about the communication aspect, right? With when I'm talking about delivery managers handling team of teams, very large teams, then of course we are also talking about many stakeholders, right? Now handling all these stakeholders, handling all their expectations and needs, and many a times they are conflicting needs and expectations, right? um,
Sure.
getting them together, so collaborating, negotiating what would be the best solution to contrasting and conflicting requirements is again a very important element of the skills required by a delivery manager, right? Keeping
Sure.
people informed, right? Another aspect. Now with the more number of stakeholders, the more people need to be informed. Now the scrum master may be, still focused on a team or a team
Correct.
perspective. We need to have somebody playing the larger role of communicating to the larger world of stakeholders, and that's one more
Correct.
area where he is coming into play. One more element which will be very very important, and as I talked about it in my introduction also, is about people skills, leadership skills. Being able to motivate team, being able to create a continuous learning environment, coaching culture, coaching your team, cultivating the skills required to be able to set up a performing, nurtured, self-organized, motivated team. I think that's the heart of agile. If that's not there, nothing works, and that's the most important element of success. And he has a very important role to play, and I think again Amit brought in a very important perspective here about varied experiences, varied technology, varied attitudes towards things. This becomes very complicated, right? And in our
Correct.
times talent is even more difficult to hold on to, right? So that brings in another skill, which is resource handling, resource management skill. How do you build the right team structure? How do you assign the right talent to these teams? How do you attract talent? How do you retain talent? How do you groom talent? How do you retain the knowledge, right? So a big
Correct.
dimension of skills that come into play. So broadly, these are the skills. Yes, one corner we do have technical skills, the primary skills which are related to our domain, which is IT. So some level of understanding of our domain, the architecture, solutioning, and all those things are of course there as well. Bharat, that's what does
Interesting.
that answer?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much, and in depth indeed. Definitely, we can connect the dots at many areas like roadmap planning, release management, stakeholder expectations, and priority setting. Right. So definitely, all these required at a role which is definitely it's not one of the role which we typically talk about in the agile. Right. So indeed, so these points are very important, and they are very practical to be have in any particular organization. So definitely it's a wonderful thought process, Anita. Thanks for sharing this. Thanks for sharing, Anita. Great,
I
guys.
guess
Yeah, Amit, please.
I think we are closing. I have one simple question. I think to all the panel member, and this is for the open discussion. We have a 2 minutes more.
Yeah,
Bharat,
sure. Yeah, yeah, go ahead, please.
see, when we speak about agile, we speak about technical team and all these things, right? Product features, and all this. But then there are financial aspects. There are time sheet. There are financial aspects. There are scores, right? I think, and that part is completely overlooked when there is outsourced project, say for example, from somebody in the US has given to us. So how we deal with that, and that is, I think, we never discuss when I have spoken to many conferences and all this, right? People are not speaking openly about that. How the finance will be managed. That none of the none of I think that is whose responsibility.
Yeah, Amit, I think it's a valid point, right? So I would definitely like to have Pragya and Anita answers and put comments on those. But my 2 cents would be like it's kind of a responsibility where you just link the things from the top, right? So it all starts from the way you sign the contract or you get into the agreement with the client, right? It starts from the day itself, right? So if we set up the expectations in terms of the client alignment with its business needs, right? So it all goes with that way. So many a times we see like client comes up with some expectation and some, let's say we talk about minimal product, right? So he talks about minimal product, but how is that going to be impacted in terms of when it being delivered to the client, at what time, at what cost, right? So it depends on there. So if client comes with some expectation, he might have some budgetary aspects within that, right? So if we keep that balancing between his expectation and budgetary aspect, so first phase could be critical, but after that it could be kind of a smooth ongoing thing if we still sees the business value from the technology solutions we are giving to him.
Yeah, thank you, Bharat. I think good aspects on that.
Can I add to that?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
sure, but
please.
Okay, so I'll build on what Bharat said, and he was absolutely right. I think the contracting model that the clients define will drive some of our financial behavior as well. And I'll explain to what that means in a minute. In an agile world, at least in TCS, when we're working with customers, there are typically four kinds of contracting models. I'm not saying four contracts, but four kinds. One is we are providing them assured talent, right? So they need specific skill sets, and we provide that. The other is they want teams. They're looking for some um, capacity, and they will expect some output from that team. So these are output-based contracting models. And then there are outcome-based contracting models as well, where they say, okay, we will work commonly together towards a goal, or we'll work commonly together towards the impact. So the way the contracting models are set up, your financial measures, your accounting, all of that should tie into it, because that's the performance-based outcome. And if it's whether it is a talent or a team or an outcome, if you have some capacity which is committed and all the work that they are doing is transparent and is based on the backlog, it should be very simple. Our visual indicators should show how many people, how much work, what the cost to the company is, and there should not be a need to do additional accounting of what it is for the customer. The challenge we have in typical scenarios, Amit, and I know you were probably alluding to that, is we are working in a bimodal or a hybrid situation. We do some
Mm.
amount of traditional based output based work. We do some amount of agility. The way agile is interpreted by different customers is also different. So in my view, if it is, even if it is assured talent, so you're providing teams, team members, it is a one team, including customer. It could be vendor one, vendor two, vendor three, but their outcomes need to be collective for what the team is delivering, and it shouldn't matter who's working on it. So I know it's a long-winded answer to a simple question you asked, but it is very much dependent on the way we influence our customers to evolve in the way they contract with us as vendors. We also have gotten smarter. Can we educate them to look at contracting differently? Because you cannot do old style contracting and deliver agile outcomes. Because then we are back to how many hours did they do? How many hours are we billing? What is the rate for this level of tech lead versus this level of developer? That just doesn't work. And I understand your pain, because we have these conversations often enough with our customers as well.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And in fact,
Thank you,
Pragya, I
Bharat.
think the question to the next question, even in fact, we were thinking to discuss with you was like, I can definitely come to you on this because anyway, you are connected on that matter. So like as per your thought process, right? So what's more important as a DM, right? Either following the processes on frameworks rigorously or adhering to something which is more important to the project or more important to the client, right? So what's your thought on this? I think this is aligned what you were discussing right now.
Okay, Amit, sorry, I'm bypassing you, and I'll take the next question. You'll get the one after. But thank you, Bharat.
Yeah.
Let me build a little bit on what Anita said. And she said some words which are very beautifully articulated. I will build on that. A delivery manager, as we both said earlier, is not a manager. In my mind, it's a multifaceted personality, him or her, who plays the role of a coach, who plays the role of a negotiator, who plays the role of a facilitator, who plays the role of a very articulate communicator, all of the above, right? So if you've seen an orchestra, think of the person who's conducting the orchestra. In my mind, a delivery manager or any manager, people call them now different things. I've heard some people calling them solution and people leaders. It's fine. As long as you have, you take the team along and help them to assure they deliver value to the customer, and whatever you can do to remove impediments, to enable conversations with stakeholders. I'm building on all that Anita said earlier, right? To communicate to business, to your vendor management team, to other vendors, to your partners, to conflicting negotiating priorities that different people come up with. That's your job. So as long as you can clear the road, think of, I'll take another analogy. When there is an emergency and there are police sirens making way for people, I think all the managers should be doing that. Make the way clear for the teams to deliver value. If we can remove impediments in their way, enable flow in terms of any interruption. The interruption can be network, the interruption can be unavailability of client, the interruption can be, okay, we don't know what we are doing here, can somebody guide us next? All of that. That requires, to Anita's point, domain knowledge, very good understanding of agile, and a huge enablement to change the culture and mindset, because that's not easy. So that's part of the question, Bharat, I answered. I'll
Yeah,
take
yeah,
it to
sure.
another level, which is I would like to refer to a book called Drive by Daniel Pink, which talks about what motivates knowledge workers. There are three things: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So, if we allow what we call autonomous, self organized, long standing teams the freedom to do what they know best, there's a lot more experimentation and innovation. It gets us to better outcomes. They're not scared of failing. They're not scared of not getting to the outcomes they're looking at because there is an environment that supports it. Mastery is something which we all aim for, right? We want to be better than ourselves yesterday. We want to improve. And if we can provide them a learning culture and an environment which enables that, it supports that. And autonomy and mastery coupled with purpose. What is the purpose that my organization is doing going forward? And here the organization is your own as well as your customer when you're working with the customer. And if we align all of these, then we get to exceptionally good outcomes. And I can speak this because I can talk to you about case study after case study where clients have seen tremendous value delivery by adopting agile ways of working. Why did I bring that? Because as delivery managers, it is not important whether the team is doing Scrum or Kanban or scaling using Safe or Less or Nexus or Scrum at Scale. Doesn't matter. Are they following the agile principles? Have they imbibed agility? And are you enabling that? Are you enabling this autonomy, mastery, purpose? Because the knowledge workers are the ones delivering value, right? If we can give them that environment, if they give them the surroundings where they can blossom and flourish, the whole is more than the sum of the parts, and we will deliver exceptional value. And I have seen that time and again with the right environment. And the managers, whatever they are called, uh, are responsible for providing that environment and enabling agility, irrespective of framework. It's a long answer, but I hope it addressed the question you asked, Bharat.
Sure, sure. No, no. It's indeed giving clearing all the doubts we had for sure. And yeah, so like now I definitely we know like the when it comes to the transformation of that particular role, it's not just one area. It's a huge areas. The bulk of areas we have been doing those transformations. So yeah, definitely. So it clears a lot of things here. Over to you, Amit, regarding certain practical scenarios. I think because those are coming back to you in scenarios because you've been directly pretty much involved handling those on your day-to-day basis for sure. So, how do you basically realign your team to resolve high priority production items and address the conflicts?
Um, yeah, thank you for the question. But when we say the high priority, first of all, I think I have to bring everybody on the high priority thing. Correct. So, so many times there is a thing that what customer client feel is different priority, and then what team feel is different priorities. There is so much collaboration, right? In terms of business value, in terms of time delivery, in terms of technical feasibility as well, because so many high priority things are not feasible. Then we are already wasting the time, and we are missed to deliver what is feasible item. So there are a lot of things, but I think the most important question that I ask is that that is are we effective and are we efficient? Right, these are the two most important things, and that is this question is asked across all the people in the team, including client, including team, including Scrum Master, including anybody, right? And I think what to our previous discussion continuing, right? We don't call anybody as a one particular. We sometimes we change the name as well, right? We don't call because right now the manager word is so much, so thing is that when we say manager, people are used to thinking that all way of it means think all the pros and cons along with that. So we typically say them as a communication facilitator or whatever, right? The idea of that is very consciously we have done this thing because we feel that managers should be always there, even though we are following agile or what. Because there are few people are expert in the technical, few people are expert in, and then right, then there is a lot of skills are missing, right? If we only just focus on this thing, right, on the agile or from only a theoretical perspective, then there are a lot of business skills, right? And that what whoever the person is, as I think Pragnya has suggested, whoever the one is suggesting that we also make them a part of the team rather than say for example recruitment. I would say very different. kind of thing is there, right? Recruitment. When we say recruitment is the most important challenge right now, right? Because let me tell you one recent example where we are looking for a Golang developer, right? And then there was only one. We need three developers, right? So we bring together a recruiter also in our team because that's the way they understand a lot of things and then they help us. We are also implementing these things in a sales
Correct.
marketing across domain also. So that, but the fourth thing means when I see that how to motivate our team, I think let's get back to your point to high priority item. That is the only thing, right? That are the business values are communicated with each other, right? Across the stakeholders. That is the first thing. So many people are not able to understand mindly because they're, say for example, they are not interested in that. They can understand. Say for example, one technical architect is there, right? They are much less interested in how you are going to sell that, right? But still we have to bring at certain level to all the people, and then we say that are we solving the right problem and effectively and efficiently, right? I think this is the two most important thing that we do. And then for that we make sure that are we doing the effective communication, right? Is there the over communication we are doing or not, right? Is that for the sake of process we are solving some problem, or is it really needed to solve the problem? Is it um, is it that people, say for example, technically, right? So is that something only because the business want it, or that is a nice to have requirement or must have a requirement? Is it something that actually making impact on the product market, or it's not? Right? Sometimes very difficult features are there, right? But still, if you make it happen, then they will bring our product to the certain levels, right? So all these things. So I think the most important part is the building the trust and collaboration, right? If we make the day by day. It's not, I think that what Anita said, it's not building a high performance team. It's not a one day activity for sure, right? But as
Correct.
we get into the trust, as we continue the work and the way we collaborate, we means the way we work together, right? I think it may take 1 or 2 months, but then we start taking we start relying on each other. We are, instead of, just testing each other, right? Now the team will be in performing stage, right? And I think that is the base mode where we can identify the right thing to be solved and the right way to solve it.
Right, right, right. And what I think is like in today's world, right? So if you look at the expectations from the client when it comes to anything related to the production, right? So definitely that alignment in terms of the setting of the right team structure would also play a critical role here, right? So like most of the time we see developers struggling with setting down the production items and also working at the same time on the regular features development what they have in their bucket, right? So maybe setting up the right team structure, like adding couple of more areas of the team which can kind of bring a more customer care or maybe more L2 L3 level of support structure, that would be kind of giving a ongoing support to the clients that would solve some of the problems you may come across, right? And actually that the next question definitely goes to Anita, that is in line with what you have said, right? So there are some root causes we might need to check, like whether these particular production issues or something like are not the outcomes of the kind of the models we are putting in terms of executing the project, right? So that brings up the term called technical debt here, right? So my question to Anita is regarding that, like how we can ensure about like to work on those areas, like especially like architectural standards or technical debts.
Thanks, Bharat. This is again very interesting topic and very relevant to the industry and especially product management arena. I would say largely the developers are very focused on what's visible, right? They're very focused on what is visible. What is invisible, we'll take care of it when it becomes visible, right? So whole at large, everybody wants to take care of what is visible, and that's where the whole story
Correct.
starts, right? I mean, so we focus on what we focus on voice of customer wants this, I did this, right? And if he did not want something specifically, then I have not done it, right? So everything
Correct.
which is very explicitly communicated gets taken care of, which is implicit is not formally taken care of, and that's the root of the entire story. um, there are two reasons to it, right? One, of course, certain times it is unknowingly done by the developers, not very intentionally done. There are various ground reasons which allow you to focus only on the visible elements. But there are some times very practically, I mean, Amit rightly talked about efficient and effective things, right? So it's not always about doing things perfectly. You cannot follow a very perfect environment. And sometimes knowingly, you need to take such decisions where you have to focus on, time to market or the business needs. And maybe sometimes you take certain decisions where you compromise on certain invisible elements, and you say, okay, we know this, we are taking a decision and this is not the best decision to take, and so we are going to log this as an item that needs to be taken off at a later point in time. And that's to set the background. Now, what are the approaches that are available to the team, to the scrum masters, product owners, delivery managers, the entire organization as a whole to handle this? I think one of the fundamentals and one of the foundation of agile practices, and Scrum in particular talks about it at large, is definition of done. And in my views, a strong definition of done is the starting point to ensure that we do not build technical debt all the time, right? So, typically, if you cover those non technical elements, the invisible elements as a part of your definition done, it becomes explicit. And because it is explicit, it's less likely to be missed. So, I think fundamentally, we should have a very good definition of done. And then, of course, we should have a very clear definition of what is technical debt by itself, because a lot of people talk about it differently. It's a
Correct.
very big word, covers so many dimensions. Somebody will say, "Maine acha coding standards, I've used good coding standards, I've followed the naming conventions, and I'm good." And the another guy will say it, I should have used minimum line of code and it should have been the most optimized code. And so it's a lot of variety of definition being used for technical debt. So as a team, they should be a very clear agreement on what is the definition of technical debt, what is covered under it, and a very clear agreement on what is our approach that we are going to follow to take care of it, right? So some
Correct.
fundamental ground rules or directions that will be followed by the team to manage it, because there's no one philosophy or one prescription that can be given, okay, you do this and you'll be done, right? So the team needs to agree. But I'll set some ground work on what can be used to build this framework for the teams, right? uh,
Sure.
some other practices which can be used apart from definition of done is also one more practice which is there as a part of the sprint planning. When you are doing the initial homework on the how you're going to work on that particular user story, the collaborative architecture and design of these user stories, that's another element by which you can avoid the miss outs on the design and the architectural elements, right? Because many a times teams really work in very disjoint formats where, okay, this is the story, you're going to do it, this is the story, you're going to do it, and the collaboration element, which is supposed to be the core, is not very effectively put into place. So if we do the planning activity well, right,
Yeah.
we're going to reduce these, from the root itself.
Agreed. Agreed.
Another rule which I would recommend here is setting up the upper control limits, right? So if we can have some
Mhm.
upper control limits of what is the technical debt we are currently at, what is it that we want to maintain it at, and if we are having some incremental value increase, I mean, so some ground rule on that, and that has to be a trigger. The moment this gets crossed, you have to be doing something about it. It is no more acceptable levels, right? So you have to have some rules of these kind. Now, once you know all of this, what is it that you can do as a team to handle it? So, a few practices which can be there. One, of course, is a catch up sprint, as some people call it. Now, in the catch
Mhm.
up sprint, you could define, its periodicity can vary, right? You may have it once in a quarter, you may have it every alternate sprint, or you may have it once in a year. You could have a catch up sprint where you can pick up these technical debt items and address them. You could slice teams, right? So you could have, let's say you have a team of teams and there are 8 teams working. You could have a rotating role. A particular team is playing the role of, improvisation. The other teams are working on feature development. So you could have a round robin, and you could continue to do your product development as well as continue to handle the technical debt. Within the team also, you could have a portion of your team working on technical debt, and again, it could be a round robin. It's very important. Why am I using the word round robin? It's very important that it doesn't sit with one particular person or one particular team to do this job. right? Whether it's production issues fixing or whether it's code quality improvements. If you're going to keep it with a group of people, they'll always feel that they are the second category of developers in the team. And the motivation element, which is core to everything, is not going to be there with this team, right? So we have to follow this round robin kind of a concept when you're trying to, either put a portion or a slice of time or a team to work on the technical debt management. That's what I feel is there are, some of the um, learnings or implementations that I have seen, and some things that worked in the practices and projects that I have handled.
Great, great. Yeah, I think you have pretty much covered the more important points within that definitely short period of time. Yeah. So yeah, these inputs are indeed very important, and I think like now we are reaching to almost to the end of the session, but still a quick question I can take for Pragya, right? So the exact question is like TCS being an organization who had a deep rooted CMMI level 5 policies and processes, right? So how did TCS change its mindset to agile, and when it comes to the changes you have what changes you have noticed in the delivery manager experiences and expectations from the TCS upper management when it comes to the delivery manager? So
Great
before
question.
you, yeah, before you answer, Pragya, I would be able to only take this question, right? So there are certain more questions we will be taking it separately within the channel again. So yeah, Pragya, you can just put some
Yeah,
your words
I'll
on.
keep it really, really short. Yes, we were CMMI. We are now an enterprise agile organization. If you've seen some recent updates, we adopted enterprise agility about 5 years ago. That was our goal. And as of last year, we've achieved that goal. So that's for a monolith like us, which is so huge, that requires a lot of change at the grassroots level. And because I've been in this company for such a long time, I've seen that change. So the change internally to adopt Agile for even all our internal functions, all our support staff has been enormous. But the role of a delivery manager is kind of, sitting in two boats, because sometimes the agility adoption at the client side that we are working with may be different to the level of maturity that we have inside the organization. So the enablement by the leadership and the autonomy and empowerment that all managers have to do what is right for the customer and seek guidance, support, and mentorship from the leadership is there. It is visible, and that's the reason we are continuing to do as well. Of course, if you need more details, we can talk about it in another
Sure.
conversation. But read up a little bit on our enterprise agile journey. It's on our website as well. It's a huge change, and I've been through it, right? I think one of you mentioned ACPG in the past. I was ACPG head 21 years ago when we were doing CMMI, right? And we moved from that journey to an lean agile DevOps organization where we call ourselves enterprise agile. So it's been phenomenal as a journey, and there is pain because we are so large, but we are there.
Sure.
We're getting there, and we'll
Yeah.
continue to improve as well.
Yeah, thanks, Pragya. Thanks for this answer. Anita, one line answer from your side, right? So, question just came, right? Who should own and be accountable for technical debt issues? A one line answer, please.
I think this is not going to be a person, it's going to be a team, because it cannot be owned by one, and we are talking of team ownership when we are talking of agility, right? So that's where I said the rules, the ground rule, the concept definition has to be agreed by the team, and that has to be the foundation and the guiding principle for the entire team to follow. Yes, somebody can have a watch on it as a part of retrospective. We can see how are we faring on it, and then again the team can work together to make improvements.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect answer, Anita. Very perfect. Thanks, Anita. All right, guys. I think then we are done. Definitely thanks to all and sharing your insights and very thoughtful things within the audiences. Yeah, and thanks all for joining this session. Prashant, you want to add something here?
Thanks a lot, everyone. I think this is a very vast topic, and in this 1 hour, 1 hour 50 minutes is very less.
Very less.
But
Yes.
yeah, but in interest of the audience, let's take one more question from Nidhi. Uh, how do we get delivery from the team to whom management and timelines are not important, and the team does not respect or believe in the process altogether? Can anybody quickly in
I
two
think
minutes?
Amit can answer that.
See that if we don't believe in, see, Agile itself is a process, whatever you try, right? We make it live. right? So it's agile means commitment. It's a collective commitment. Instead of previously in the day means our waterfall model or somewhere that only project manager was making the commitment. Now the whole team is making commitment, right? So actually it's a collective commitment. So that if the team is not building anything in process altogether, right? I think it's a, at least there is a respect. We change the terms and all these things, but ultimately we are here to deliver. Right. So if somebody is not believing in the process, somebody is not committed to timeline or something, and I think it's a, then there is something wrong with the team. And that's there the come the role of agile coach or whoever you say, right? There are a lot of coaching is required in the team. So I think that pain should be taken by anybody who feel that I can be able to coach the team. That should solve the thing.
Thanks a lot, Amit. I think that's the right thing. That it's he needs one-on-one coaching. In fact, in that case, and yes, with this we come to end to this interesting panel discussion. And again, we can carry forward this question to the next session, because next session is the impact of agile mindset in agile organization. So there, the leadership mindset is going to be covered into that. Okay.
Sure.
So I would like to thanks Bharat for wonderfully moderating it, and Anita, Amit, and Pragnya for actively participating into it. Thanks a lot once again on behalf of the Agile Network India community.